everyone. Welcome to Regenerate You and another episode of Intuitive Healing. I'm here with Amy Hamilton, medical intuitive. Hi, Amy.
Hi.
So, we are wanting to share a great topic that Amy recommended, which is anxiety. And I see this a lot in my practice. And you don't have to be a hormonal woman to be experiencing anxiety. It affects us all in so many different ways. And so I thought that this was a wonderful topic, and Amy has some great tips to share with us about what's going on energetically in our body when we're experiencing anxiety. So the floor is yours. Please do share.
Well, thank you. It's great again to be on your show, Dr. Nirvana. So anxiety is something, like you said, that we all experience. Doesn't matter with age, doesn't matter with time. There's just different levels of anxiety. And so the way that I see energetically, anxiety is no different than what we kind of feel in our body. It's just like, I'm full. Like it's just, we're full. There's, science behind what can happen during that is the amygdala, the fight or flight part of your brain goes into fight or flight. And we just, a lot of times with anxiety, we go and we just disappear or we go away. There's other of us who our go-to is the anger side or the fight. And it really all depends on kind of your personality and what you're dealing with at the same time. But in general, what I see with anxiety is kind of looking not into the reaction in the moment, but the origin behind it. Because sometimes anxiety can be clinical anxiety. It can be you have it all the time. It is based in your brain. There is a chemical or a brain function that just predisposes you to anxiety. Now, for a lot of those people, we can talk about breathe 3 times and put yourself in a place of relaxation. And they're like, I cannot control that. That is outside of my experience set. And that's when we have some good pharmaceuticals or we have some good natural medicine that can help sort of when it's a medical challenge with the brain. Now, other times we can be in a room of everyone's full of anxiety. I see this a lot with my teens or with those 9-year-olds who in a room by themselves, they can take a test and get straight A's. But if they go into a room full of high anxiety kids and you've got 20 to 30 children taking, an algebra test, which to me, the minute I hear the word algebra, you can see my reaction. I'm like, right? So my anxiety goes up, all the kids in the room, their anxiety goes up. And if you're an empath or a highly sensitive person, that causes that anxiety. So, whereas the first one, we might be talking about some medical interventions, we might be talking about some pharmaceuticals, some supplements, acupuncture. With this second one, when you're feeling everyone else's anxiety, it's about doing protection and, protecting yourself in a bubble, energetic protection, or even getting an accommodation for kids in school so they can take a test in a room by themselves.
So if I can ask you, I'm actually very curious, what comes first in terms of the chicken or the egg? Do you think that it would be a neurotransmitter or a biochemical imbalance that's causing it first for the majority of people? Or do you think it's mostly that we are picking up on what's around us and then that is what's causing the biochemical imbalance?
I actually see it as person specific because it's and it can be both, but with your clients or with my clients who have a history, a family history or a genetic history, that's something that doesn't happen because you're in a room full of it, but it happens because there might be a genetic change in the brain or in the actual genetics that's leading to a need to have some pharmaceutical or supplement type of intervention. Now, those type of people, I personally come from a long line of anxiety people. So I was brought up knowing how to do that, right? So that can lead itself into that sensitivities or being brought up in a highly anxiety filled household. But that leads into the third area is that emotional issues can cause this as well. So that can be situational. I mean, we all want these perfect, smooth, calm lives, and it's just not reality, right? We're living in these really challenging times. So whether you open the newspaper in the morning or your mother calls you and has a bad experience, that emotional issue can ramp up into a time thing, and that has different type of ways that you can handle that as well. That's when, if it's an emotional thing, you're reading the paper, you're out of your brain, and you're in anxiety, that's when you take the 3 deep breaths, center yourself in the moment, get yourself into that better place. Those situational things are good techniques, but sometimes when we have those, either if it's, or we're surrounded by a lot of people with anxiety, or we're back into, there's a biochemical or a chemical need in the brain for some kind of intervention, 3 deep breaths and you're like, yeah, thanks, that's real helpful.
I think we've all been there. And I see that with a lot of my patients. Some of the great tests to do is Neurolab or Senesco. They do some neurotransmitter testing where we can see if it is a biochemical imbalance. And then there's so many different natural alternatives that we can use to address that and bring things back into balance. So people don't have to be on medications that are making them feel worse and having long-term side effects. But I think what's interesting is the people that are experiencing this long term, and no matter what they do, nothing is working for them. So, in those cases, I actually want to challenge some of our listeners that maybe aren't familiar with this topic is, past lives and
Oh,
how we bring our past life issues into this body, into this life to experience it? Is it something that have you seen that it is able to be healed or released? Or why are we even bringing it in? Why would
I
we?
here's the thing, and I love this because for me, my 20 years in corporate America in a very real world, like these past life issues, generational traumas, energetic issues feel so like, really? Is that really happening? But I've seen over time this be so impactful and so helpful to people that kind of the proof is in the pudding for me. Like it actually really happens. So that whole group of what you were talking about, that past life or whether generational trauma, what can happen is there are real lessons that we can learn from previous lifetimes. There are real lessons that we can learn from our ancestors, and those, whether we call it epigenetics or sitting in someone's body, can be really helpful. There's times that they're not so helpful. So I can give an example, actually my own personal one. For years, as I said, I'm in corporate America for 20 years. It sure's a little weird to say, hey, I'm a psychic medium, medical intuitive. Like that was a test. But I was terrified to tell people. In fact, so much so that I thought, like, really in my body, it felt like I was going to die every time I told someone. So I went and looked at both past life and generational issues, because that's where I send people, so I might as well look into the same thing. And what I found was, in a past life, I was a healer and I was killed for what I was doing.
Oh, wow.
The minute I knew that information, in really what past life regression is it's a hypnosis, or you work with a hypnotherapist. The minute I had that information, it broke the emotion but gave me the knowledge. So the next day I was like, oh, I mean, I totally wasn't like, oh, because it's still kind of little out there in the circles that I'm in. But I definitely was like, I didn't have the fear. And so that's why I think it's so powerful, because I've seen all kinds of just amazing forward movement with people when you can understand what happened in the past, but you're energetically let go. For me, some of my family was in Germany in the pogroms, and there's just a lot of fear of losing everything, losing businesses. And when I had my own business, I could feel some of those holdbacks from there. So being able to learn from the generations without the don't do that, everyone's going to take everything away emotion that I was really sitting in, really helped me propel there. So a lot of times when you've done all of the work, you've looked at your vitamin D levels, you've looked at your neurotransmitters, you've taken every anti-anxiety drug in the planet, you've meditated, you've walked, you've done the list. Then I would look into this past life things. Now, the people who do past life regressions or generational would love you to start there because they think, they would think there is. So you don't have to go through everything to do that. But for those treatment resistant people out there, it is really, really helpful.
I love that, treatment resistant. And there's a reason for it, right? Because either they haven't gotten to the root cause or there's something blocking it. And that's why I love what you do, is because sometimes we're dealing with things for years upon years. And it gets so frustrating when you feel like you've done everything and you just cannot figure out what's going on. And that's why I love you, because you're such a wonderful vessel to bring in that information and just hone in on, I think it's this, and it's things sometimes we don't even think about, which I love. I love that. I love opening our mind to the possibility of it may be generational. It may be that it is epigenetics, and it's coming from the environment or from a past relative or what have you. So this is great information. I'm so glad
Well,
that we discussed this.
absolutely. And I think that that's part of your beauty, that you are open to doing this, because and I love the doctors that I work with and doctors like you that are open to looking into something outside, because all of us have faced something in our lives that we can't get through, and sometimes looking outside the box when there could be there's pieces, it's a puzzle piece, there could be some medical things and there could be this emotional, or there could be past life things. So that's what's I think I know what motivates both of us is helping the people who've tried a lot of stuff and being able to finally help them heal.
And to know that they're being heard and really listened to.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank
So much.
you.
This was great. We would love your feedback. Let us know if you're experiencing anxiety, and what realms you've gone down, what's been successful for you or not. And of course, you can reach out to either of us at any time for further help. You're certainly not alone. There's so many different opportunities to heal the body and tools. So until next time, thank you for joining us, and we will be in touch very soon. Bye, everybody. Bye, Amy.
Bye.